What's up, Anthony?
What's up, Chris?
I want you to know that our stories are going to inspire millions of people.
It's true.
And no matter what, we have to remember there will always be
Kane is in the building.
But if you have something you believe in, if you are searching for something that makes you feel good about yourself, we want you to know that you are not alone. We want you to know that building something in the world out of yourself is completely normal, my friend.
Nice.
Episode 62.
Good job.
You too, man. Good job at being you, man.
Good job at being you.
Cool. That's a great compliment.
It's been a minute since we had this beat.
This beat makes you feel alive, man.
It does.
Matter of fact, I think the first comment right there, because that's the same instrumental I listen to, I believe the first comment says something along the lines of just listening to this song makes you want to live life, right?
Yeah, it does.
Nice. Let's go, episode 62.
It's
Let's
true.
rock this shit. Yeah, I'm ready to go, man.
Me too. How's it going?
It's going well. God bless you, Lupe Fiasco. God bless that song. I can't wait to tell that dude one day how that beat used to just get me fired up. I throw that beat on like to start a gym sesh, no pre-workout, nothing like that.
That's good.
And it literally makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's so cool what music can do to you in the moment. I mean, we're talking about with working out. I guess it's in a general sense when you're inspired, but you can especially feel it when you're working out. You just get that right mix. Sometimes it's different for me every time.
And it's
cool
really,
that, I mean, this is a song that I could see you getting fired up. But
and it's the essence of the song too. And when you hear the words that
Yeah.
actually accompany this beat, it's phenomenal.
yeah,
Matter of fact, there's a young man who I'm helping out right now that is going through a real tough time. In the third verse, matter of fact, I think it's coming up. Let's see. Right here. So he would say something along the lines of, so no matter what you've been through, no matter what you into, no matter what you see, homie, look outside your window. Brown grass or green grass, picket fence or barbed wire. Always lift your arms up. Always get them arms higher. Let them know you arms tired. Let them know you here. That you struggle and survive and that you gon' persevere. Hey, ain't nobody leaving, nobody going home. Even if they turn the lights off, the show is going on. Turn it up.
nice. You do listen to this song. That's a good message, man.
I messed up one bar, but we good. My bad, Lupe.
The context is still the same.
We know we have to raise our arms higher. Let them know we here, baby. All right,
man.
let's do it.
Good little intro for 62. That was good.
Cool. That was fun.
You knew 98% of the words.
I wanted to, yeah. There's always room for
I know.
improvement.
Yeah, dude. They
Always room.
even mess up their own songs when rappers
Always
perform
room.
sometimes.
Always room. And that one line always gets me too. One day I actually have to like read the lyrics and be like,
Yeah.
that's what they're saying.
Yeah, that's another part of it.
Yeah, I wanted to be creative, man, today. This has really become a full-blown just love of creation, which is the ultimate pill. And everything that we talked about in the beginning, I feel like is happening now. Like we have these big goals that I hope we can talk about tonight and how we're devoted to pursuing those. But remember, we always said early on, man, that this was about like having something that we can just share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a creative outlet. It's something to share. We talk about this, but like for me, posterity's sake, like if anybody cares to know who I was when I'm gone, hopefully this data will still be around and there's countless hours and going to be even more countless hours as we continue to be like, who were Chris and Anthony
Absolutely.
at that time in their lives or this point in their lives, you know? And like, we've been doing this for 2 years. It's like, and we talked about this on the last show, who we were at the beginning is kind of the same but different in a way.
No, absolutely.
So it's cool for me when I think about it like that.
Absolutely.
As any creative endeavor is, you know, just a painting. If someone paints, it's like, that's what that artist was seeing that's what they were living at that time. That's what they were feeling at that time, experiencing at that time.
Great concept. Yeah. I like that a lot, man.
Yeah.
And it is cool to think about that. If someone ever did down the line want to know who their great grandfather was,
Yeah.
you know, and another thing I enjoy a lot too, is I feel like we've represented ourselves well throughout this up to this point, 2-year-long process, you know, like, I don't think we are obviously our ideas and what we were thinking about was fluctuating, but I feel like we've been the same person, like, but now we're that same person, but more evolved because we spent hours and hours and hours in exploration. Cause that's what good dialogue is. It's an exploration. It's like understanding each other's concepts of how we see the world.
Yeah.
And then when you share those, and sometimes when those things collide or they merge or they like come together and they build a bigger idea. So that's why it's so important to focus on friendship. And that, as you were driving over, that's another thing I was thinking about a lot, is like, man, dude, it's Tuesday night and I'm going to record a podcast. Yeah. But I'm also hanging out with my best friend.
Yeah.
That we don't see each other very often. We live far away. Yeah. And we live very, I would say, different lives. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very isolated and you're out, and, you know, I wish I would actually get out there and play some basketball with you though on Sunday, by the way. I do think about that. Or Saturdays.
Yeah, I think you'd have fun, man.
I know I would. I just got to do it.
Yeah. It's a drive.
Like anything.
It's a little bit of a drive. I understand.
Anything would be fun. You just got to do it. It's the getting to do it part.
It's true.
Maybe that's what 62 needs to, I don't know, just be focusing on. Like, how do we get to doing the things that we know we got to get to doing?
Yeah. But I will say, I'm you called yourself isolated. I mean, I'm
solitude. I like that word better.
Solitude. I don't know. Yeah, I am.
Like, how are you actually? Like, I'm a genuine question. Like, what's up with like those 2 weeks that we don't see each other? Like, what you up to, dog?
Mostly reading and exploring and stuff.
I figured that.
I'm mainly, yes, in a way of like what I do with my free time. It is probably considered introverted, but a lot of that's due to something that's been heavy on my heart recently, which is this concept of freedom, and we can get into that later. But there's, dude, and I'm just going to be completely frank and open. Like, there's a part of me that if I had the logistics of it, the freedom of this option, I'd be on a boat, like out in the middle of the ocean.
No doubt.
Isolated in that way, but free.
No doubt.
And I've just been really big on freedom lately, and what is true freedom. And there's always been this desire in my heart. This might sound weird to you, but like, I've always thought like, hey, I know this might sound morbid, but like towards the end of my life, you know, if circumstances are that way and I find myself alone, I'm going to sell everything and go buy a boat and live on the coast. Yeah. I don't know what about that. Like, sleeping and living on a boat sounds so peaceful and calming, but also freeing to me. Yeah. And people, what about storms and hurricanes? It's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not worried about that. Like,
interesting.
So there's that desire in me. Like, the reality is I'm at home probably reading about that. Yeah. You know, like the Odyssey and the Iliad right now are huge for me, those ancient Greek epics. But those dudes were like piratical sailors that got to sail across seas and go conquer other lands. And it's like I'm not going to deny that spirit in me anymore. It is in there. I don't know how to. Like, I'm really excited for the cruise I'm going on this summer because you get a little bit of that. Yeah. You're out on the high seas. And it's a cruise ship. I know it just sucks because like it's like the consumer modern version of it, but it's as close as I can get right now. Yeah. So anyway, that's cool. A little bit of a tangent of an answer, but
no, I like that. It's what I was hearing when you were talking there, man, is you had a lot of. I would like to say that's probably a lot of your past memory, right? Comes from probably exploring with Fraser, and you probably watched movies on the seas that captivated you, but as life went on, man, stuff kind of piled on that. Yeah. And it got, unfortunately, pushed down into the unconscious out of awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you've also, since I've known you, discovered that really beautiful presence that is within us all. And to me, that's what increased awareness is just becoming aware of that radical subjectivity that we ourselves can be in really, I don't want to say control, but we could almost like observe the way that we're feeling about something at any given moment. And that kind of comes naturally when you figure out that, oh man, that thing that grows everything is within me, growing me too.
Yeah.
So that kind of frees you. You said the word freeing a lot.
Yeah.
So I feel like you freed a lot of the unconscious, man, and it's coming out.
Yeah.
And you're now an older man, more mature, more developed, that can express those childlike wonders and mysteries and joys in adulthood.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that they always talk about the childlike spirit.
Yeah.
Because it's your spirit that like is conveying, man. Like I guarantee you you can go up to someone right now and be like, oh, you're 31, right? 30. I would easy 24, man. You're looking younger. You're looking more vibrant.
Thanks, man.
You seem excited.
Thanks.
So I think a lot of that stuff that was pushed down since childhood is able to come out, but now you're able to function with it.
Yeah.
In a way that's acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be spot on there. I think that might be a lot of the fuel behind my wanting to make movies and write stories and imagine, other worlds and go out there and see different things that was always been in my head. And so now it's kind of like moving down into the body, and it's like, okay, where can I find that? That's why I've seriously fallen in love with the running, because
that's cool.
At least in running, I feel less confined. You get like a cross country, and I might have the same track that I do. So like, for example, like it sucks for me. I don't like running around a track because it's a loop. But at school, I found this cool little track that I made where I leave the weight room. I go into the senior parking lot, past the baseball field, past this middle school elementary thing that's on our campus, completely around the whole campus, into the front of the campus. And it's like this giant trek that takes about 25 minutes to run the whole loop.
Okay.
And that is the most fun, because I feel like at least, you know what I'm saying? Like if there's some semblance of openness and freedom to.
Absolutely.
And I don't that's the easiest 25-minute run I can, running 25 minutes on the track sucks.
Yeah. Because
it's like, what am I, it's the same, I don't know. And I feel like every step.
It's like exploratory.
Yes.
And you almost feel like you're out there like, I understand exactly what you're describing.
Yeah, I want to hear
with running. Like you catch yourself sometimes like doing a hop, skip, and a jump for what?
Yeah.
Like I'm jumping over a snake. Like it's those those primal things that come out because you're almost activating.
Yeah.
That thing within you that is chasing, that is searching.
Yes.
That is seeking something, and you're just pursuing that.
Yeah.
On that run. So I get it.
Yeah,
it's like you're exploring, man.
I wanted to hear what you. Yeah, exactly. Exploring is probably hitting it right on the head.
You're exploring the new day,
because you do that too, right? Like when you run,
it's literally the same route, but
it's out here, right? Like
absolutely, yeah.
You don't go to the track and run.
No. No, I run on that highway.
That's cool.
The gas station. So that's from here to the gas station and back is like I'll take that run.
Yeah.
But for me, if we're just talking about running and that in general, like I really enjoy the deep understanding that it literally is just me against me. Like the only thing that can make me quit is, yes, an injury that happens. Yes, things can happen that potentially interfere that you cannot control. But the only thing you can control, man, when you're coming back and you have to think in your head, okay, I just ran 4. And I'm on the same route, so I just got to go 4 back. Yeah. Like, you better be mentally tough in that moment. And this is not even being like David Goggins. Like, this is a literal truth, man. I think the best people who can run far distances understand that it is mental, man. It is mindset.
Yeah.
You better be able to let go and surrender to a lot of those self-limiting beliefs in the middle of that run. Absolutely. If you start feeling sorry for yourself,
I absolutely agree. And you might think this is funny, and people listening might think this is funny. Absolutely agree. It's you versus you. But there's times when I start to feel that weaker me start to speak up and be like, hey, this kind of hurts. Your ankles hurt. I got bad ankles.
Why are you doing this? You ever had that one pop up?
Yeah.
Like literally,
that
why
too? Or like for me, you know what's weird, man, is I'll overthink running because it's that strength background. Like I literally saw a strength coach the other day tweet, jogging is not conducive for athleticism. And there's times where I'm like, oh, programming wise, does it make sense to be running 3 miles? But at the end of the day, I know the benefits of it. I know the benefits of aerobic capacity, and I see what it's doing to my body.
Yeah.
I know it's good for me. It's more the mental challenge anyway. So I'll overthink it. But what I do in those moments, what I was going to tell you was, and you've heard me play like that ancient Nordic music I listen to.
Yeah, you used to play that before practice.
Right. So what I'll do is, I don't even have headphones on. I'll just play it from my phone and hold it as I run.
Okay.
And at those times of weakness, I'll play that. And I literally think about how, ancient humans like that, those ancient, the Gauls coming out of the forest, or the Vikings, or even, an ancient Greek, they could run for days, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, they could run for days. That's how that soldier ran 2 marathon. It was like, I don't know what it was, but how marathons got started is they could just run. Yeah. And I'll be feeling down or weak. That weaker side of me will start piping up, and I'll be like, bro, that's my ancestors hunting me from behind.
Oh, nice.
Saying are you really going to give up?
Yes.
Like you're here, look at you. Like,
nice.
Like you can't even run another mile. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's motivating 100%. In that way. It's like those guys, it didn't matter to them. They could run for days.
That's great.
So
dude.
Anyway, it is great. You versus you, but sometimes I bring in my ancestors to motivate me.
No, 100%. There's times where, and sometimes when I'm one of my big motivational sentences I'll say is better at the end than at the beginning. So when I'm like, and I got that last hill, right? So I'm like, I've had people throw up. 2 people have thrown up going back from up that hill, and not even on the long run I'll do, but I'll hit that hill like as hard as I can, and pretty tired at that point. And then when I make the turn onto my street, I'll pretend like I'm in a race, and it's like, that's the finish line.
Yeah.
And they're running hard too.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so like we tell the boys like, come on, finish one. Like literally I will just, and I'll be very mindful that I don't pay attention to any house near me, nothing. Like sometimes I do look, but it's like, no.
Yeah.
Pure focus. One point in this mind, go that way as fast as you can. They're going to catch you otherwise, and you're going to finish second. Hey, again, that's just using creativity to put a different meaning to an experience, which empowers you, man.
It's good.
You're more powerful.
Yeah.
I'm paying a little rant on running, but hey, why not?
No.
Because we're just talking about Hawaii. Yeah. Like we're doing another Hawaii show tonight. Yeah. Is like when I'm not mindless when I'm running either. I'm very intentional and aware. Yeah. Like, how's my core feeling? Okay. What are my legs? Like literally, okay, where's my calves at? Where are my knees at? We're good. Yep. We're good. Sometimes I have to like adjust, widen my gait. Okay. Hey, go wide on the gate today. Yep. Every step is like, good, powerful leg. And then I have a it's almost meditative, but I have a cadence that I breathe. So it's
nice
for miles.
Yeah.
And if I get off that cadence, like I notice, oh, I'm feeling a tinge here.
Yep.
I've worked out cramps simply through mind-body awareness.
It's good.
Imagined a muscle untangling.
Yeah.
Like this is what let's talk a little bit after we finish this rant on running about pain pleasure. Cause you said something really interesting earlier that reminded me of where I heard it, but do you have anything you want to add to running? Cause it's a very interesting thing.
It is meditative. Yeah. And it is bodily too, but it like puts you here, but also when I was going to say Nietzsche said, don't trust any ideas that you don't have outside. It's a weird thing, but he like wouldn't, any ideas he had inside, he wouldn't trust, like inside of a room. Or
interesting.
So he walked like for most of the day. He would wake up. I don't think he'd eat breakfast. He'd go on like a 4-hour hike, walk. And that was where he did most of his thinking. Yeah. And then he'd come back and write all night. And so I keep thinking about that when I run. And that's why I normally don't listen to music if I don't have to. Because, and you know this, every runner knows it's that jogger's high or whatever, runner's high. But at some point you'll fall into that cadence. It's cool that you can induce it with breathing. I think that's great. You fall into that meditative cadence where you're not there, but you are, but you're also, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so I come up with great idea. I mean, I think through a lot of stuff running outside.
Another thing I do during running is I widen my perspective a lot. Like when I catch myself getting tired, I will look across the vast landscape. Like I will widen and become and treat it more like context.
It's good.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just
That's
like,
good.
yeah, you widen the gaze, and it's just almost like energizes you. Like, yeah, there's something out
That's
there,
good.
you know,
Yeah.
driving me right now.
Yeah. No, we'll come back. I mean, we only got on that because I was talking about freedom and how that is kind of an act of
But
freedom.
it is. That's free.
It is
To
an
me,
act-
that's
yeah.
freedom.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's one of the closest things. I have a lot to say on freedom because I've been heavy on that, but I want you to go into the pain pleasure.
Well, I think it's freeing when you could find meaning in pain.
For sure.
And we're not talking about like masochistic, sadistic type of pain. It's pain that is intended to evolve.
Yeah.
You know, it's an awareness of this, that this pain is for my evolution, and because of that intention, there is positive creation going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a very freeing idea. But in this video that I was watching, it was obviously talking about the dopamine system, and basically the synopsis of it was, when the more pain that you feel, the more dynamic the pleasure is. Whereas the pleasure system, like, it almost like lowers itself because there's just too much of it, and it doesn't think that it has to send more of that dopamine positive because it's just always there. But when there's that pain involved, it actually like balances the dopaminergic system. So pain is actually seen, pain in with the intention of evolution. Like, let's clarify that.
Yeah.
Actually is healthy for our system, and like any good system, it's dynamic and it expands, right? Because the more complex a system becomes, the harder it is to defeat it. So, and I think we can all agree that through struggle, through that pushing through hard things, we grow. But I think that growth is an expansion of our awareness and our ability as a human.
Yeah.
So whatever that challenge looks like to you, it could be a challenge of, you know, changing a bad behavior or something like that. Like, that's something that requires that same power that is driving someone on a very hard run, you know? You feel me?
Yeah. So you could say that pain adds more color to pleasure. Because to me, when I heard you say that, it's like, instead of your pleasure just being simple base, like a base blue, maybe the pain is able to get like, oh, now you get some indigos and some violets and some turquoise in there.
Yeah.
It makes it more myriad?
The pleasure's more colorful, because it's almost like you appreciate it more.
like
You're
that.
more grateful for it.
I like that.
Because you're like, man, like, I work really hard in my life, and I challenge myself. And when a pleasure comes my way, like, don't defy it.
Yeah.
Like, if we want to talk about creativity and Stephen Pressfield and the war of art and resistance, it's like, when the muse arrives, welcome her with open arms. Kind of the same thing. Like, the muse being creativity, right? But like, in that moment of pleasure, like, I feel like that's a great opportunity for creativity.
Yeah.
Because it's like, whew, man, I grinded, but I feel good right now. Well, what else happens when I think good? And then you start having these really interesting ideas come to you.
Yeah. I like that's where you took it. Can I read you these notes I made earlier? And,
Sure.
It was about.
I got notes too, actually. It's
Okay.
I'll open mine. Let's see where this goes.
So,
All right.
I don't know how. So what is freedom? I put that. What is freedom? That one has the will to self-responsibility.
Okay.
That one has become more indifferent to hardship, toil, privation, even to life. That one is ready to sacrifice oneself to one's cause. Freedom means that the instincts that delight in war and victory have gained mastery over other instincts, including happiness. And then I put that the free man is a warrior. I followed that with great danger is that which teaches us to know our resources, our virtues, our shield and spear, and our spirit. What compels us to be strong. One must, this is from Nietzsche, one must need strength, otherwise one will never have it.
That's awesome. And everything I heard was contextual.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just,
every bit of that was contextual.
but you saying how pain colors pleasure, like I immediately went back to that statement right there that the free man is a warrior. And that's not like some Chad, stuff. It's literally like what that last line said. Like, you won't be strong until you absolutely need it. You can't read a book on how to be strong. You can't you just have to go out and live and face danger. I've thought about this in my life a lot. Like, And this is why martial arts is so great. Or if you can't afford to train in martial arts, then physical fitness, what we're talking about, training and putting yourself, we talked about this when I talked about strength training, right? Like how when you get under that squat rack, your body, it has to be so intense that your body thinks it's going to die. That's a way to face that danger. And when you face it and overcome, or even if you fail and survive, you've now faced danger and you've gone on to the other side of it.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn true strength. Wow. By living it. And that's what Nietzsche was saying. You won't be strong until you have to be.
Yeah.
And if you never force yourself to have to be, you're going to be looking around in those moments when you need to be, and you're not going to have it.
That's great. That's great. And just so you know, everything you say is backed by science.
Cool.
Everything you just said is backed by science. You're speaking of concepts. You're speaking of emotional instincts.
Yeah.
You're speaking of categorization, and you're speaking of what something means to us. So everything you just said was very like scientifically sound, but said in a very
cool,
a very you way.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Thanks.
Because the one that I wanted to come in today and let's tie it into where we're going and see what happens is goal-based concepts. And what you were describing as the mindset of a warrior, essentially. So that's a goal-based concept. And basically what I'm really liking about the idea of goals and goal-based concepts is that's what you extract out of experience. Like that's the information based off your goal-based concept that because your brain is predicting and simulating before something even happens. Yeah. So these goal-based concepts, what they do is it literally like tells you what to pay attention to within an experience, and that's what you're seeking to extract out. And if it doesn't match, you go into that prediction error thing that I've talked about before.
Yeah.
If it does, it just becomes part of the control system that is the prediction and simulation. And it's cool because we're architects of our experience. That's exciting.
Yeah.
We're also electricians of our experience because, like I said last time, neuroplasticity is real. But goal-based concepts, that's the warrior mindset. It's contextual.
Yeah. If
you have a goal-based concept of I'm going to make $5 every time I go to this place and it doesn't happen, you're focused on content right there. Like that's, to me, a goal-based concept has to be a literal, like widened perspective and conceptual view of specific experiences and what you want to get from that.
Yeah.
Do you want to get a good experience to where you make a friendship? Or is your goal-based concept, because you're not even aware of it, that people suck and I'm going to, and when I go to 7-Eleven, I act like a jerk. Like that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So when I text you earlier is, yes, we feel what we believe because our beliefs come from these goal-based concepts.
Yeah. I think that's good. What that reminded me of, because you said something on how like when you have that goal and it's almost like, I'm sure we've used this analogy before on the show, but it's like a filter, a filter of experience. That's like what'd you say that?
So, all right. So these goal-based concepts and see if this helps you out. So they do two things, right? There's the 5 sense. And then I've also know what the 6th sense is. Now it's our interoceptive system is what it's called. All right. These goal-based concepts, right? They tell us what information and what it means from the 5 senses, but then at the same time, there's this interoceptive system that is determining the inner sensation through affect or feeling. So these goal-based concepts are taking in the world, they are processing what is happening within us, and they are trying to understand. Yeah. And when it's understood, good. When it's not, then we got some problem. Prediction error.
Okay. So can I throw this at you?
Please, dude. Please. Yeah. I love how we got into cognitive science, but I thought your sentence was great.
Thanks.
I was like, oh yeah, this is really making sense.
Well, what you just said, I think, is a scientific recapitulation of where what I've gone through most recently, and it's embodied in like this most recent friendly debate that I had with Fraser, my brother. He's not anti-Nietzschean. He just kind of knows what everybody kind of says about Nietzsche. I think he's read very little of him, or he's going to. But I'm trying to tell him like, no, bro, here's the real picture. So we kind of got into a little friendly back and forth. We're just messing with each other. But Fraser's big thing is, you know, Fraser sees, and there is this connection. Fraser sees the connection between Nietzschean philosophy and this nihilistic relativism, where Nietzsche was a harsh critic of morals and virtues in the modern era. And that can be taken as, well, none of that matters. It's all relative to what you want to make it. And that is not what Nietzsche was saying. And what I was trying to explain to Fraser, and I think what Nietzsche did to me is what this exact system. Nietzsche was, okay, let me go back. I have spent, and you know this about me, I for all my life, I mean, really it started in college and having the influence of my grandpa. I mean, philosophy and religion and psychology, I was deep in it, bro. I was reading everything. I was spread out. I mean, I have a massive library at home. You've seen it. And I was just deep in all of it. I mean, I was probably like a hardcore Jungian for 3 to 4 years, just deep in it, like deep, and reading everything. And you could do that with philosophy all the way back to Plato. I was deep in it, bro. And where I'm at now, because of Nietzsche, it's almost like the thing I kept running into, and the reason why that search would never stop was because all of these concepts and ideas from these thinkers, great thinkers, people I still look up to, they didn't have, for me, any, at the end of the day, I'd follow them all the way as far as I could, and I still wouldn't have, they still felt too detached from reality. Like there wasn't any practical, hey, here's how to live. Even Jung, who I think is a great interpreter of reality in the subconscious mind and the psyche. I mean, dude, I was doing active imagination. I was a Jungian. Like I was thinking about going back to school to get my doctorate in psychology, and because of Jung. And so I was deep in it, and I still felt like, okay, it's too much up here. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of abstract concepts. It's a lot of inner work, yes, but nothing horizontal. There was nothing outward changing, I guess. And maybe I didn't take it to its fullest extent, but what Nietzsche did, that's what started. That was a catalyst, and really understanding him and where I've gone since then. I can now, it's like a filter, bro. I look at all my books and there's really about, I texted Fraser this, there's really about 4 or 5 that when I put them under that filter, there's really about 4 or 5 that I really only have interest reading. And because they have practical, deep knowledge on how to live. I mean, Homer's The Iliad is one of them, in which you're like, what? Yeah, that shows you ancient man and the ancient warrior and these men of virtue and strength. The Odyssey. I think human nature is Odysseus. Odysseus is he's almost constantly referred to as resourceful and cunning and smart. He's the one that came up with the Trojan horse. Yeah. The founding myth of Greece was about trickery. And then when you think about humans in nature, like I try to imagine like pre-modern times when we're like tribal people. What made us, we're not the strongest apex predator. We're not the most, we're not the strongest, we're not the fastest. You know, there's faster animals out there. Why are we at the top of the food chain? I really thought about it. It's like, it's our cunning, bro. It's our resourcefulness. It's our ability to adapt and change and think. And that's everything wrapped up in Odysseus. And that's the founding myth of ancient Greece was the Iliad, and him tricking the Trojans by offering them this gift of the Trojan horse. And then you get the actual Odyssey of him on these travels, constantly outwitting gods and demons and these monsters just to get back home. So anyway, I'll get off on my tirade, but that system, I feel like my ideas in my life outwardly has been filtered to, and it's been boiled down. And if you want to boil Nietzsche down, it's what's life affirming and what is natural. I love, and that might sound too simplified, but to me, no, it's in that simplification that like I'm able to move now and act. Like
I literally was going to tell you right away when you finished that it sounds like you've made things more simple, and that's exactly what I believe a goal-based concept does. Cool. And that's the idea of the warrior mindset, or like what you said, life affirming, natural. You place that against all conditions of your life. You place that against it. Yes. And it allows more freedom of expression, because it's like, yes. So for me, like this, I'll say my goal-based concept for tonight's podcast was have fun with your friend. Great. And what that allows me is there's not a lot of prediction. There's not a lot of mental activity happening. It's just natural expression, because Willow wants in on the conversation. Willow wants in on this. She's been listening. She wants to hang out. Yeah. But it's just I'm placing that against it. Hey, as long as I'm having a good time with my friend, this is a good experience.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to extract.
Yep.
So I love the simplification, man.
Cool.
I think it's so practical to take what you just said, go into all conditions of your life with the goal-based concept of, I need to be life-affirming right here. And then when that doesn't happen, that's what you call challenging the system in everyday life. That's getting under the 400-pound squat rack every day.
Yeah.
Is taking that simple goal-based concept, putting it against things, and when it doesn't happen, it's going to cause you friction.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's easy to try to express unconditional love at all times?
Yeah.
You got to understand what love is. You got to do the work. You got to get the reps in.
Yeah.
Love is powerful. If you're angry, come at me. I'm still going to be in unconditional love, and I'm going to win because I know I'm more powerful.
Yeah.
Because I'm pulling from what you're talking about. Everything you're talking about is context, man.
Yeah.
Where it's coming from, not what it is.
Yep.
Where's it coming from? How's it coming from?
Mm-hmm.
How is it being shown? Are you even aware of what you're doing?
Yeah.
Bro, when you start like playing that game and you're just pulling from the context, the warrior mindset, the life affirming, the unconditional love, the silence in the noise. Love that. I tell kids that all the time. Silence in the noise, man. That's a goal-based concept.
Yeah.
How do you quantify that? Don't know. It's a goal-based concept. It's widened. It widens. It allows your mind to categorize more things under one concept.
Yeah.
Which allows for simulation and prediction to happen more naturally.
Yeah. Love it. And you said, where's it coming from? And that right there, like, it's weird that it's ironic that you pulled that out of that. And that stuck out to me because that has been the like most predominant, because of this goal-based concept filtering, if you want to call it, for me. And just putting, again, highly admire all of, because you like a lot of that stuff. Highly admire all those books. The best analogy is the books on my bookcase. I mean, got all these books, all these thoughts, all these
that's
ideas.
about all I'm working with these days.
Yeah, you boil it down to about 4 or 5, and it's like, this is what So I love all that, admire all of that. It's filtered, I've been able to filter that out. And so by coming down to that, is it life affirming and is it natural? It's led me to that question. Where is it coming from? So much of what I'm living day to day is like, wait a minute. This, it could be a routine or an act, or just a habit or a pattern. There's so many of these things in our day-to-day lives that we just accept as natural. And then by boiling it down to this filtration process, I've been like, wait a minute, where does that come from? And is that natural? No, it's not. It's not natural. It's not life affirming. Where does that come from? And why was that accepted as normal in my life for so long? Like, running is a good example. I know we went on a long tangent about that, but like, and maybe that's where that thinking, that overthinking is coming from. It's like, hey, somewhere along the lines, I was like, you don't need to run 3 miles every day. And it just became, and then that's
became your concept.
Yes. And that's a very shallow example. There's tons of these. We don't have to go that deep. But that's just one example where it's like, I'm challenging that because, like, where did that come from? And I'm seeing, in the challenging of it by wanting to be life affirming. And it's life affirming because by running 3 miles every day, I'm challenging myself. I'm putting myself in better shape. And not to even mention all the health benefits for your heart and the cardiovascular system, but also because eventually I'm going to have a family, and I don't want to be, I think about this a lot. Like, I don't want it to be like, hey, look at all these pictures of your dad of when he was in his prime. I want that. I want to be that always. And running and jumping rope, there's things that you can do for the rest of your life that will always keep you in shape. And something, this might be selfish, but it's like, I want to be something that my children admire and look up to for as long as I possibly can. I don't want it to be, they're not 8, 9, 10. It's like, look at me when I was, now I'm a big old slob,
Absolutely.
So I don't know if that makes sense, but
it did. And just know that belief is obviously a huge part of that.
Yeah.
Belief is a huge part of that. But I like what you said. And a big part of what I hope to serve humanity with as a professional counselor is this idea that I shared with you in text. Is the goal is to create new, in parentheses, past experiences, because a lot of what we're doing right in that moment is based off a past experience that is then working through that system that we essentially talked about, right? So I think that's a really motivating idea when you're talking to someone who's going through a hard time is, hey, up to this point, yeah, it's been bad, but it could be better if we create new past experiences.
Yeah.
And they kind of get it. Because if, again, I'll say it one more time, if right now the always is dependent on work, if we're talking cognitively, really worrying about past experience, then right now is probably the best time to start.
Yep.
But what's really interesting is when you start living this contextual life that you're talking about and you know, looking at the big picture and where everything's coming from, you start observing yourself. And you'll be in those moments that you were describing where awareness is a real thing, because life is radical subjectivity. It is pure subjective experience. And when you start becoming aware of that, I don't kind of want to say watch yourself like, you're doing it again, dude.
Yeah.
You're doing it again, but okay, let's roll with it. Okay, make sure this is good. And you're like, all right, I know this is happening, but I gotta, I know that I can be in a good headspace right now. Like I can put a nice meaning on this, get a good emotion out of it. That'll increase my energy resources. My body budget will be right because my belief's good. Like you start becoming more aware of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then once you become more aware of what you're doing, then you start focusing on creating new past experiences. Like, here, I'm doing it again. Okay, how can I stop this real quick?
Yeah.
You start watching yourself. You're more observant. You're more aware.
Yep.
That's why awareness is the number one theme of my practice.
It's cool.
When we become aware of what's literally happening, then we can focus on real quick to shift the concept or shift the meaning or shift the sensation or shift the sensory input and create a new past experience.
Yeah.
And more we do that, that certainly is the compound effect.
Yeah.
New past experience. And all of a sudden, what was the past experience is no longer past experience. There's new past experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think that's going to be so successful because, and it's so crazy to say this, but I think so many people go about their day to day. I know I've been there in my past, like thinking they're aware. This isn't something that's constant, but just in moments, it's like, well, I am aware. And then you do this thing that hurts you out of routine or out of pattern, or you think it's normal. Mm-hmm. And then you don't take the time to have that self-reflection outside and be like, wait, why did I do that? Where did that come from? Yeah. An example would be, I'll give you a good example. This is what I've battled recently. So I've been really strict on my diet. I've been fasting for 20 hours, only eating for 4 all week. And then, so here's one thing. It's like, I don't know where I got this, but I thought it was normal to like, hey, you'll be okay if you're really strict on your diet Monday through Friday, even Saturday. And then on Sunday, you can like let loose. So like have a cheat day. Yeah. And like The Rock is famous for having these, once a month he'll have these massive cheat days, right? Mm-hmm. It's just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was normal. And so on Sunday, the past 2 Sundays, I've been like, I'm going to go get donuts and kolaches because I've been craving those and they're bad for you. And that's my cheat meal for the week. Mm-hmm. And after this last Sunday, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore because I feel like crap. Like not even like the guilt or shame of it. It's because I've justified it in my head that this is okay. Mm-hmm. It's I physically feel like crap when I put crap in my body just for a temporary moment, literally temporary, so temporary and fleeting of mouth pleasure. Yeah. And it's like, fine, I'm just gonna give up on or eating pizza. Like I love pizza. I feel like absolute crap after I eat pizza. Yeah. And so I'll justify it on a weekend. It's Saturday. I've done so good all week. Yeah. I can cheat on this meal. Let me eat some pizza, eat 4 slices, and I will feel like crap for the next 24 hours. And then I'm like, why do I do that to myself?
Because it's culture.
Exactly.
And you even said The Rock did it. Like exactly. He's a cultural figure.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So that's just a small minuscule example of what I think you're saying and where I'm at, and that has led me to like start questioning everything in our whole system, like just our day-to-day culture. But like, and that's what really led me to freedom, man. Where we started with the running and everything, like, because now I've realized, wait a minute, we America's the land of the free. We are one of the most free countries in the world, but are we really? Yeah. Are we really truly free? And
Well, it's ironic that you talk about freedom and honor in our country, because I think what we did tonight is we circumnavigated this big idea that actually kind of exists already, and it comes from Jocko Willink, and the idea that discipline, or the concept, I should say.
Yeah.
Because that's a concept.
Yeah.
So cool, let's use our language, right? Because that's
Yeah.
a goal-based concept, is what I'm about to say, is discipline equals freedom.
Love it.
And what I was thinking when you're talking about the sweets and so forth is, first thing I thought, culture. Yeah, I mean, you see it, man. You've been grinding, like, go enjoy. It's just something, a narrative that was said once by one person that generated a lot of energy and spread, and next thing you know, it's part of the collective, right?
Yeah.
So, but when you could find like pleasure in the pain almost, and doing the discipline, that moment of freedom comes to where it's Mother's Day. And I don't like, and yeah, some people would probably say I'm kind of like too into it sometimes, like, wow, just loosen up a little bit. But then I have my vices that I need to know. I could only have a couple, man. Like, I know no human being's perfect, but come on, man, you can only have a couple. So I'm pretty, I mean, I guess I've lost the pleasure of sugar. It just, I don't have it anymore.
Cool.
But it's Mother's Day, and my daughter, 18-year-old daughter, made this awesome meal for everybody, and she made dessert after. And I literally thought, the real freeing thing right now is eating the gosh darn dessert and surprising everybody and showing that, hey, man, like, let's celebrate. And I did it. And my daughter even goes, I was like, hey, Kylie, I'll get one. She goes, oh, okay. Boom, brought me my plate, man. I ate that dessert. Chloe didn't even want to eat that. I said, pour it on my plate. And I enjoyed it, man. And it was, I felt no guilt after. I felt no nothing, because it's almost like, man, you know what? I put enough pleasure into the pain of focusing on what I think is good for me, that sometimes when that pleasure does come around, like we said earlier, man, when we started, it's more dynamic. It's more meaningful. It's more energizing.
Yeah.
And how we can talk so broadly about eating a piece of brownie and cake is what makes our show so special, in my opinion. But that moment was more than that content.
Yeah.
It was like us as a family sitting there eating dessert together on Mother's Day that my daughter made.
Yeah.
And I felt it was more important to eat, I almost said the F word, to eat the dessert than to be on this pain pleasure thing that I'm on.
Yeah. No,
So
I get
that's the discipline equals freedom right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. For me, I think it's a completely different like context, because it's not even about, I would be okay with that. Like, I'd be completely okay. I justify it in my head. Like, hey bro, you put in the pain, time for some pleasure. I literally physically, I keep doing things to myself food wise. And that's why I've cleaned it again with the mind, and also with my diet. I've just filtered it all out. Let's go back to basics. I'm only eating meats, and protein, and I feel better. I don't have energy crashes. I do caffeine, and I do protein and meat.
Cool.
Now, if I introduce anything else, I actually feel physically ill.
That makes sense.
So, but I keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to stop. I'm to say all that to say I'm going to stop. And
that's the old dopamine system, that archaic side of it, wanting you to get to it. But, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, it makes sense that, you get yourself built a certain way. And you got to understand, one of the 8 defense mechanisms, rationalization, like that makes you have no idea how often we do that every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Because these defenses are typically in the unconscious, protecting us.
Yeah.
That is what's protecting us from those unconscious things we don't like.
For sure.
That fat boy in you. Because there's a fat boy in me too, bro.
For sure.
I used to be a fatty.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that has some unconscious influence on why I have this like strict way of living. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
That mine's probably sublimation.
Yeah.
I'm sublimating that shame I have of being that fat boy that got made fun of as a kid as, look at me now, mother trucker type thing, But hey, if that's what awareness does though too. If you become aware that, I'm sublimating, then you could freaking do that in a very like meaningful way.
Yeah.
Like real powerful. Like, all right, got it. I got this nasty stuff that still lingers that darn past experience that hasn't been covered up enough by new past experiences, like it's still there.
Yep.
When that lurks in, it's like, all right, you just got to work out harder.
Yeah.
And why do you do that? So you can be a good instrument right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can use these past traumas as you can utilize them. There's a lot of science and stress that kind of shares that same idea.
Yeah.
Like when you could utilize stress as a growth opportunity, it's very
Makes sense.
you feel different.
I can see that.
Your body budget is different.
Yeah.
Your energy resources don't deplete as fast. You're not forcing yourself. People run out of energy when they force. When your power just continues regenerating, so you deplete, but you can get back up quicker for sure.
Love that.
For sure.
Yeah, all that to say, if you put in the work, you're allowed to reward yourself if you can physically handle it. For me, it's called that was a minuscule example of like, I mean, and if you can broaden that out and take even further example, and this is what I've been doing, and this is what led me to freedom and the desire for true freedom. It's like there's so much of what we reason and rationalize as normal that is actually physically harming. And the diet for me, or having a cheat day for me, or a cheat meal, was just one tiny example of that. But there's just just even the idea that like once you reach a certain age, it's really not that big of a deal for you to be, going hard in the weight room. And it's like, that's, again, not to sound like a Chad meathead, but like, that's BS. Why is that? And like for me, I really think this, and I'm going to test it out. I see it in you. You're 40 and you're still going hard. And yes, I've had your share of injuries, but still doing it. For me, my hypothesis really is that became a narrative because people stopped. I really think if you don't stop, you just don't. Yes, be smart. Like I'm not putting 600 pounds on a squat bar anymore. Yeah. 30 years old. I don't need to be, but I can still push myself. Yeah. And I'm going to be smart. And I feel like if I just don't stop, I don't know when, I would stop. I won't stop.
I think it's real healthy to think that if you could nest something like this under your daily goal-based concept, that it just becomes something you do, something you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's good.
So yeah, it's like nested under there. Like this 30 minutes of challenge is just what I do, man. So we all know the importance of consistency. But I wrote this down before the show, man, and we talked a lot about just pushing through. The show started with talking about like there are going to be those people that don't understand what we're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to accomplish, but just know that if it's true to you and you believe in it and it's what you stand for and it's authentic, like go ahead and keep going. Straight and narrow is the path is a very powerful statement that, straight and narrow is the path. Waste no more time. Let's go. And I wrote down, these are the characteristics of someone who is striving for the potential in their life, the truth in their life. There is, like I wrote at the top, there is a yearning in my psyche to rediscover the truth. Like, what are you looking for, man? Like, find that thing that brings you to life. And it said the characteristics of someone who does that is dedication, devotion, faith, prayer, surrender, and inspiration. And I think that when we understand that those can be goal-based concepts that we can place against content and we live contextually, then that becomes your story. I wrote that's your story. Because the story is the content. That's what people are seeing. But if that's coming from a better place, that seems like it'd be a really cool story for other people to watch and read.
Well, I thought I also took it as the story that you're telling yourself.
Absolutely.
Because we're all I really thought about this. Everything we do, and I mean, Jordan Peterson said this, it's all narrative. Like it's all narrative. And that's why myths are so important.
Well, a big one for me is I shared out actually the other day and someone got a liken to it, and I thought, hey, one is all I do. I go for one, man. Yeah. And that's just the way I work, and it will just build from there. But we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, and that's that radical subjectivity. And you could take that in a narrative because that's how your mind works. Filmmaker, storyteller, writer, right? So, however that comes to you, though, just know that like. Life is subjective, and then it gets really to the point to where you understand there is no object or subject.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that. I don't know if I'm there anymore.
Paused. No, it's
Well, can I just
what I mean by that.
explain that?
So what I mean by that is, you are part of the creation, and
Yeah.
you could understand that if out there is exactly that same thing that is driving you in here, then you feel safe, and you don't. You said a lot of stuff earlier that I was thinking you detach, man. There's space, because you're sitting there and you're like, okay, that out there is coming from something, and it may be the same thing that's even looking at that, but that ain't me.
Yeah.
And whatever that means to you, run with it.
Yeah.
But the way I'm looking at it is, out there, that ain't me. I get to choose what that is. And when you start becoming real focused on choosing something that's good for you and the people around you, it becomes a really fun game. Mm-hmm. And you're almost like, as you're observing and you're aware of yourself going about the day to day, you just kind of sit there and think, this is just where I am. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I don't think you're far off from where I'm at with that. I didn't know that's where you were taking that. I like what you said about how that out there, there's not so much distance between that out there and you.
It's almost like when the distance, it's paradoxical actually. Never thought about this. It's when the distance closes, you realize there's not much difference. However you want to perceive that, it's up to you. It actually makes it feel further away, because you're not attached to it. The attachment, if you even want to have that, is now secure. You feel safe. I know that's coming from a good place, man, because I feel like I'm coming from a good place. And it seems like the same thing would be creating everything around us. So, but at the same time, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid, dog. Maybe that's what I was trying to get. I'm telling you, I'm not afraid. I genuinely am not. And I mean that with such humility. Like when I say I'm not afraid, like I just trust, faith, if you want to use that word, because I've prayed a lot and I've contemplated a lot and I've surrendered everything as best as I could. Haven't finished yet, and I never will. But I'm not afraid, because I do believe, man, that there's something taking care of us.
Okay, so let me throw this at you to see if this is.
How did we get back spiritual too? I promise y'all, if you've stuck with us this long, we really were trying to be very like practical and like out there today. Yeah, but man, we've gone back within, man.
It's all wrapped up.
What you got?
Let me try to frame this for where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying this is me totally in what you just said. So I think I have been saying this, that what's out there mm-hmm. is nature, capital N. Mm-hmm. And we have this in today's day and age, and this is what Nietzsche was commenting on. So profound. He saw modernity where it was going. We have this false distance in the narratives that we tell ourselves about culture and modernity, mm-hmm. a false distance from that human nature and nature, when in reality, it's still the driving invisible energy mm-hmm. behind a lot of what we do.
I like that. Okay.
Because that's where I went with that, and that's what I've really been on. But here's the thing that's, I guess, kind of more diabolical about that is that it's that those false narratives and this false pretense that we have of a distance from that, because that's not nice. Yeah. Like people need to watch more nature documentaries. You know, like what's his face narrating all those really mm-hmm. cool high definition nature documentaries. Mm-hmm. It's bloody tooth and nail, bro. It's bloody tooth and nail, and it's Nietzsche would say this too. It's a denial to think that that's not the same driving energy force.
Okay, I got you.
Okay,
all right, I don't even have to write it. I don't want to lose it, but I think this is why the idea of compassion is so powerful. And let me tell you, because you got to understand, people are at different stages. everything is at
know,
different
yeah.
everything is at different stages.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the lion, that is very animal instinct. You watch it and it people find satisfaction in it, or they find something that is meaningful in it because it's tapping into that animal thing, that yes, that drive within us. But at the same time, though, as you start understanding how to live correctly, you realize that animal instinct isn't very conducive to a successful human life. I shouldn't go around and bite people. That may not be contextually, or that may not be socially accepted to go around and bite people. But when you're able to take that and you understand that part, you still have that part in you, you go up these scales to where I love the animal drive that you're talking about. But when you could take that animal drive, dude, and use that to love life, you are going to be someone that is going to make a difference in the world.
Yes, it's that energy that I'm talking about.
So some people are stuck, though, at that energy level of the animal, the neurotic, the haters that we were talking about earlier. When you're on the pursuit of a big goal, sometimes people aren't going to understand it. Duh. They don't experience the world like you do. It's subjective. They're experiencing it differently. They're at a different place, a different level, a whole different screen, a whole different movie being played, a whole different absurdity being watched. You just got to understand that. There's different levels. You're at a certain level right now. You've taken the animal, man, and you're living in young. Freud, unfortunately, didn't make it into the nonlinear because he stated that, yes, there's false interpretations of God, but then he also said there isn't an almighty God. So that kept him under into the place of reason.
Yeah,
but Jung understood that there was something immanent and transcendent. Mm-hmm. And that's what put him into the nonlinear. That's why he was seeing those messages that it's funny how we're talking about it, because we were talking about how hard it is to explain these types of things, because intellectually it doesn't process.
Right.
It has to come from the essence of it. Like the essence of the words have to mean something. Mm-hmm. And I think what that does, man, is it tells you that it's all coming from something. And I think once you start just questioning what that something could be, true like inner exploration begins. I mean,
yeah, I have a lot to say. I don't know if we need like 2 more hours, because I'll carry off on where you started with that Jungian Freud dichotomy. I think it's interesting, and I'll just state this, that at the end of his life, Jung wrote a very, very small, controversial book called The Answers to Job, where he's looking at the book of Job from the Old Testament. And very controversial. Got him in a lot of trouble with his religious friends and with his psychology friends. But in that, he basically says that God is nature, and he is what Jung termed subconscious, but what he really meant by that was just this very natural, amoral, not good, not evil, energy that is unconscious in a lacking, self-reflective way. It's
impersonal.
Yes. And that got him in a lot of trouble. But I think that's relevant because since Christianity took over, when Christianity took over, it took over the concept of nature. It said, well, everything was made by God. That includes nature, Mother Nature. And that means nature has to be good because God's all good. That's what the Bible tells us. God's all good. Provatio boni, which means all good. This is what Jung was primarily critiquing. He's like, wait a minute. If you look at the book of Job, he's not all good. There's some bad stuff in there. And a lot of the Old Testament, a lot of bad stuff is done in his name. I could go on about that. But anyway, so when you take away that conceptualization and take over, you realize nature, okay, let's say God is nature, then nature's to at least some extent amoral. So
Well, I'll tell you that my nature is reality with a capital R. So out there, what you are reflecting against is matter. It's something out there. To me, it's reality. That just is. And when we contend against that, that's where we feel pressure and friction. So this whole free.
You mean try to change it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's reality.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
No, we're not-
happening.
we're not far off.
We're not. But it's like that freedom we're talking about. It's like it's freeing when you know that that's just nature. That's just reality. Okay. What does this mean to me? How am I? What is the experience like? And
Yeah.
you just
I think I get
watch
it.
yourself how you interact with it.
Yeah.
Become aware, more aware.
Yeah. 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 It's just literally, and I'm not trying to like.
No, I know. This
change
is
minds.
good. No, this is
Yeah.
good.
No, this is good. It's just
good
literally
dialogue.
That point that you just made. It's like when I get up to that point, I therefore then realize so much of what we accept as socially normal is really taming. And Nietzsche said that. He was like, a lot of morality is mimicry. It's mimicking what some other people have said is socially acceptable. And it consequently is a taming of human nature, not an exaltation like we talked about in the last episode, right? Like the extension of just mere life instead of the exaltation of life, capital L. So much of morality is a mimicry of what doesn't exalt. It just extends the good life. And he said, also a very poignant quote, I'm going to summarize it, but he basically said, I see in you the full capability of everything evil, and therefore I require of you good. I laugh at the people who call themselves good because they have no claws. And I think there's something there to that. That's where I'm at. I'm just stating where I'm at.
I enjoyed that, and that'll trail perfectly into closing this show out. Is everything we just talked about, I feel like, can be a part of someone's life when they just become curious about the potential.
Yeah.
That could be. Like just that curiosity. You're going to be pulling from some of those deep drives and motives that we have as humans, and you're going to be reaching. It's almost like you're reaching forward into the future, because right now, if the reaching, what I'm grabbing over there is based off creating this new past experience right now, well, I'm going to come from a real powerful place, man.
Yeah.
And that could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So just let's become real curious with our potential.
Like
that curiosity will activate genes within you that have been dormant.
Yeah.
And will create a bigger system that is you, that can take on the demands that are being placed on you authentically, naturally,
like that,
as reality.
I hear that as a call to fight against the things that we've accepted,
the programs, even what we've been told we are, and
programs that are taming us, and in a positive, energy wise.
There's so much to us.
Yeah, like don't let, like, combat against or even question, like you're saying, and start to conscientiously be aware of the things that are actually built in to tame this natural energy.
Yeah.
Like you said, reaching forward, and I was like, yeah. And then there's like this reaching inward to these untapped energy reserves that we have, that we've been told, hey, don't use those because
for sure
that's not socially acceptable. So,
I could tell you how maybe I use the animal drive in my life is I'll oftentimes have that inner narrative that says there's so much more to you than you think.
Great. Yeah, dude, that's that striving for excellence.
Go.
Yes.
Go for it.
Yes.
There's so much more to you than you think. Yeah, you're being weak in this moment. Doesn't mean you're freaking weak.
Exactly.
Go.
Yep.
Go.
Love it. That's that striving for excellence. That's one of my goals is it's life affirmation. It's what's natural, and then also excellence, virtue through excellence. Being not going to achieve it. I know that. I know I'm not perfect, and I know I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
But trying to beat myself into is the most excellent specimen that I can make myself, barring where I'm at age-wise, where I'm at physically, my DNA. There's just some things I can't fight against, but I'm going to do my darnest to make myself as best I can against those things.
Learning from the prediction error that we talked about.
Yeah.
Learning from it.
Yeah.
Not frustrating against it, which
Yeah.
causes stress and anxiety
Yeah.
and depression, a lot of that.
Yeah.
Fighting against the prediction error. No, how can we fix this?
Yeah. It's good.
And to finish on what this whole idea of concept-based goals and how they're contextually based is Aristotle said, excellence is a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Excellence is not quantifiable. It's not content. But a goal-based concept that says excellence is a habit to me, imagine how you meet the day-to-day demands of your life.
Yep.
Excellence is a habit.
Yeah, dude.
That may be the goal-based concept that we take away from episode 62, man. Excellence is a habit. Now, are you always going to hit that habit? No.
No.
But go.
Yep.
And keep going.
I love it.
And then you die one day, worn the hell out, rusted out, man.
Mm-hmm.
Or not die, I died, worn the hell out, not rusted out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because rusted means it wasn't being used.
Yeah.
You're worn out.
Worn the heck out, man.
I love it. Well said.
Just
Excellence is a habit.
Let's go. Let's go. Keep pushing against it, man.
Yeah. The show's got to go on.
Must, man. Hey, that was fun, man. I enjoyed that.
That was good, bro.
Love you, man. That was a good conversation about. We started with running, and then we went into
freedom, and then goal-based concept. Wait, how do you say it?
Goal-based concepts
Goal-based
and how they're
concepts.
contextually based, and
Yep.
you use them to place against experience.
Mm-hmm.
Helps you keen in on the information, the hunt,
Mm-hmm.
that animal instinct,
Mm-hmm.
that lion. You're hunting for the truth. Hunt the truth. Hunt the truth.
Oh, we need that on a shirt.
Hunt the truth. With a capital T, man. There's so much more to us than we think. Hunt the truth.
That's good. It's predatory.
That's the combination. Then we hunt the truth.
Love it.
Hey, love
Y'all
y'all
go do
so
it.
much.
Yeah,
Episode
man.
62. Go out there and let's make humanity better.
Yes, sir. We don't give a shit no more. Anybody thinks.
Oh, that was fun, man.
Woo! No, I was saying it was hitting like